There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. The Secretary will read the order.
Debate on vote number 40, Transport Appropriation Bill.
I will now invite the Minister of Transport to open the debate.
Honourable House Chair, our Deputy Minister, Deputy Minister Hlengwa, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Honourable Selamolela, members of the Portfolio Committee, honourable members. The mission of the Department of Transport is to lead the development of efficient and integrated transport systems by creating a framework of sustainable policies and regulations and implementable models of support to support government strategies for socio-economic development. Indeed, today we would all agree that an efficient and functioning transport sector that moves people and goods safely, speedily, and affordably across the length and breadth of our country is key to a successful economy. In recent times, there has been a disconnect between this vision and the realities of our transport system and our National Transport Department. Our sector is not operating as either an effective economic facilitator or as a much-needed social service. The 2020 National Household Travel Survey found that declining availability of rail services and damage to infrastructure means many households rely on alternative and more expensive methods of transport. In the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic, the freight system was characterized by long delays in the movement of bulk minerals, containers, and vehicles. Dysfunctional port terminals resulted in long waiting times for ships wishing to berth, as well as congestion at strategic border crossings. Our road systems deteriorated throughout the country, and many provinces failed to execute maintenance and returned money to National Treasury. Every year, our country sees in excess of 10,000 fatal crashes, which the Road Traffic Management Corporation estimates amounts to almost 3% of our annual gross domestic product. This is both unacceptable from an economic and a humanitarian perspective. Given the current status of the transport sector, our first task in the 7th administration is to stabilize the transport system in our country and make our department fit for purpose. Against the background of multiple challenges in the freight logistics system and the port and rail network, bold and decisive action was taken to address the problem and prevent further damage to the economy. Government, in collaboration with business and trade unions, formed the National Logistics Crisis Committee as a coordinated, integrated response to meet the scale of the crisis. The National Logistics Crisis Committee has 3 distinct objectives: to improve operational performance, to implement reforms to modernize the freight transport system, and to make necessary regulatory changes and exemptions to ensure efficient procurement and maintenance of the network. The Crisis Committee oversees the Freight Logistics Roadmap. Honourable members, PRASA is continuing to reopen passenger lines severely affected by infrastructure damage and cable theft, with 28 of 40 priority lines being fully operational. As of March this year, 256 stations are fully functional in cities across the country. Continuous work is being done to rehabilitate and open up more strategic commuter corridors. This will ensure that the public can rely on safe, secure, punctual, and affordable public rail services that will not hinder their participation in the economy. A key priority for the next financial year will be the stabilization and improved governance of the department and its entities. Critical vacancies will be assessed and appointments will be made to fill vacant posts. The efficiency of the department's entities in fulfilling their stated mandates will also be assessed, and reforms such as addressing adverse audit findings and timeous payment of outstanding invoices will be implemented. Immediate attention will be given to the critical issue of underspending by both departmental entities and provincial departments on finances allocated for road maintenance and road construction. In a country where citizens must daily navigate the hazards of potholes, it is unconscionable that we are returning money to National Treasury. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Airports Company South Africa for Cape Town International Airport and OR Tambo International Airports being rated 2nd and 6th respectively in the recent AirHelp Global Airports ranking. In 2023, our department approved the rail policy, which has various far-reaching recommendations on the future of freight rail and urban commuter rail. The policy must be implemented with speed so that the country's railway sector can become revitalized. Commuter rail must become the backbone of the transport system, and we must harness the potential of our freight and logistics sector for economic purposes. A planning component will be established to consider the strategic value of branch lines and unlock both state and private investment in lines which have economic potential and logistics capacity. In December 2023, under the auspices of the Freight Logistics Roadmap, we approved the development of a framework for private sector participation. A future PSP unit will be established with the necessary skills and expertise in the design, negotiation, and contracting of projects so that innovative practices can assist us to solve current and future logistics challenges. The Freight Road to Rail Migration Plan has been developed, and it must be implemented as a matter of urgency. So too must we implement this key piece of legislation, namely the Economic Regulation of Transport Act, which was recently signed into law by His Excellency President Ramaphosa. This act will establish a single transport economic regulator to help ensure an efficient and cost-effective transport system by increasing competitiveness and access to transport networks through effective regulation. As part of ensuring optimization of our transport system, the department will prioritize road safety. Our Deputy Minister will address this matter more fully in his speech today. Honourable members, taxis are part of community life, and as per the National Household Travel Survey, now carry 83% of those who use public transport. During this term, I pledge to work with the industry to ensure it takes place in a safer, greener transport ecosystem. We will work together to decrease levels of conflict and violence, which pose a significant risk to the sector and to commuters. The Taxi Relief Fund, created by the department to navigate the negative financial effects of the COVID pandemic, has been extended in the past year to provide further support to the industry. Honourable members, as we stabilize and optimize our existing transport sector, we also look forward to new risks and new opportunities. Climate change, as we have seen over the last couple of years, poses a significant risk to our built infrastructure in general and our transport infrastructure in particular. Building the climate resilience of our ports, road and rail networks is both a necessity and a new opportunity for investment growth, economic inclusion, and job creation. Contributing to reducing greenhouse gas emissions in all modes of transport will become a necessity once the new climate bill is signed into law. Our transport sector is responsible for approximately 1/10 of our country's CO2 emissions, and we will have to do our bit to achieve the ACDP target of net zero by 2050. Transport is in the midst of one of the greatest changes since the introduction of the automobile. The transition to new energy vehicles is also accelerating rapidly, with electric vehicles said to be the cars of our now and immediate future. The department's green transport strategy includes investing in green energy infrastructure, promoting the uptake of alternative fuels such as biogas and green hydrogen, extending the rail network to provide alternative public transport, and developing green procurement guidelines that will promote low carbon technologies. Implementation of the green transport strategy will be a priority for our department in this term of government. In this next decade, transport will also be revolutionized by an acceleration of digital technology. New technologies and new global imperatives will fundamentally alter the skills requirements of those employed in the transport sector, as well as open up new value chains for new forms of economic access, ownership, and employment. Such innovations include operational automation and real-time tracking of shipments to assist in port management, digital signaling to modernize the management of our railway systems, the use of artificial intelligence in traffic management, and the introduction of self-drive vehicles and drones for delivery. I'm proud to share with you today that over the last year, our entities, as well as our provincial departments and the national department, provided young people with 221,000 training and development opportunities across the country. We have every intention of continuing these important programs in the current administration. Honourable members, as I conclude, I wish to thank our Portfolio Committee under the able leadership of the Honourable Selamulela for the speedy processing of this budget vote. I want to thank the Director General and all officials of the Department of Transport for all the hard work they will be doing over the next 5 years. To the chairpersons and the CEOs of our entities, we look forward to your contribution to stabilizing, optimizing, and growing an integrated and efficient transport sector. We have no time to lose. I thank you.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Minister. I will now call upon ANC, Honorable Selamulela.
Yeah. The Honorable House Chair and our Honorable Minister Barbara Creasy, our Honorable Deputy Minister Tlengwa, our members of the Portfolio Committee of Transport in the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa, the Director General and your esteemed team of officials from the department and entities, colleagues, friends, and compatriots, allow me to extend on behalf of the Portfolio Committee and the Parliament of the Republic, and surely on my behalf, my sincere heartfelt condolences to the families who lost the lives of their children in the tragic accident that occurred in Gauteng a week ago. Honorable Minister, it is a tragedy like those ones that reminds us both as a nation and as a people that we who are charged with responsibility to pass laws that regulate transport safety need to do more in being proactive. And I have no doubt you are on track in relation to responding to that. Honorable Chair, South Africa has one of the most developed transport networks in different modes of transport on the African continent that is fundamentally premised on best international standards and practice. It is a functional transport system that operates on a daily basis for the movement of goods, movement of people, movement of freight and services. And legislation regulated in the sector is based on international conventions to which the country is a party with other countries in the global village. In the past 30 years of our democratic rule, we have sought to ensure that against all odds, the convention and treaties that we are party to makes meaning to the lives of ordinary people in this country. We indeed have sought to build a transport network that is efficient, effective, and economic, geared towards meeting the expectation of our people. We did this with a clear understanding that efficient and effective transport system is a critical pillar and a cornerstone for economic growth and societal development. It is against this background, Honorable House Chair, that the programs of the department conform to the policy and priorities of the national government in terms of the National Development Plan and Economic Recovery and Reconstruction Plan. The department is a policy department which has entities which serves as implementing agents. It has 7 programs which cover all modes of transport with an overall budget of 80.645 billion. This is only a slight increase from the previous budget, but it is in no way a small budget, and is expected by the portfolio committee that the department and its entities will ensure that it achieves optimal value for every rand spent. The budget reflects that departmental costs are under 2% of the overall budget, with bulk of the budget being dedicated to programs and projects to be implemented by the entities. This includes provincial and local road maintenance and development, as well as developing the BRT bus service in different local municipalities. It is imperative that the department ensure that the provincial departments have the capacity to implement road maintenance and development in the province. Furthermore, it's critical that the development of the BRT bus service system is expanded to other municipalities in this financial year and in this term of the 7th Parliament. While the transport sector was negatively affected by COVID-19, devastating floods and unrest, the last administration made important progress in terms of roads and commuter rail infrastructure development. The PRASA opened 31 out of 40 rail corridors and taken delivery of 200 train sets which were locally manufactured, a point we need to be proud of. In addition, PRASA has refurbished 261 railway stations to functionality and have a further 33 under construction in this financial year. The entities under the department, while financially struggling during COVID-19, are all going concern, which means that under the last administration of the ANC government, the SOEs in the transport sector recovered. The entities have stable boards and good corporate governance, and financial controls have been restored. A cursory glance at the AG's report in the last financial year indicates that all SOEs in the transport stable received unqualified audit reports except for the Road Accident Fund. The Road Accident Fund has a major debt liability which requires the attention of the executive and the department, as this will need to be fixed with an Act amendment if not completely replaced. The issue between the Auditor General and the Road Accident Fund require urgent resolution and are a hangover from the 6th Parliament. Program 3 on rail transport has a transfer budget of some 19.5 billion. Commuter rail function efficiently is critical to improve the lives of the working class and the poor. Commuter rail is the safest and efficient mode of transport, as well as being the cheapest mode of transport. PRASA must continue on the positive trajectory of restoring the rail infrastructure and efficiency of service through development of rail stations which serves our communities. It is important that PRASA is able to increase its passenger numbers in the process of restoring rail services. Over the MTF, it is important that manual signaling on the rail system is replaced with automated rail signaling. An efficient commuter rail system which reduces the transport costs for the working class and the poor, which currently utilizes more than one form of road transport, places more disposable income in the pockets of the families and reduces travel time, thereby improving the quality of life for many township communities. Communities must ensure that these critical facilities which improve their lives are protected from vandalism and report all incidents of criminality to law enforcement agency. Law enforcement agencies equally need to deal effectively with any form of criminality against public assets. Colleagues from Patriots, Program 4 on road transport has a budget for transfer of about 43.5 billion, which includes transfer to provinces. Road transport remains the principal mode of transport for the movement of people and goods and plays a critical development role for the economy. South African National Road Agency Limited has embarked on a major road infrastructure project. SANRAL's new projects will include some 90 major capital works projects larger than 500 million each, which will go out to tender during the 3-year medium-term period. National Treasury has allocated 21.5 billion per year for the maintenance and improvement of SANRAL's 19.2645 kilometer non-toll network. Moreover, a total of 940 projects will embark upon in the next 3 years, of which 325 are already under construction. This includes the refurbishment of the N3 between Durban and Johannesburg, the development of road between Durban and Port St. John's, which will reduce road travel and connect these markets. There are also major bridge projects undertaken by South African National Road Agency Limited in the Eastern Cape. We are expecting SANRAL to complete this project within the allocated frame and budget. We'll eagerly wait the outcome of this important project as part of the parliamentary oversight entities. Honorable Minister, we need to advance from the strong foundation which was left by the last ANC administration in the transport sector. That needs to go to the next level of delivery to the people and the country, as transport is key driver of inclusive economy and job creation. The current 7th administration needs to ensure that development of roads at a national, provincial, local level as rail infrastructure, port development, and freight development needs to occur. What is it that members seek to achieve from this budget vote, Honorable Minister? Our focus on the challenges in the transport sector is based on the need for transport infrastructural restoration and further development to ensure inclusive growth and job creation. We seek more efficient, cheaper public transport system for the working class and the poor in commuter rail and bus service. We seek a well-maintained road system in all parts of our country, Honorable Minister. We seek improvement in rail service for passengers and freight rail. We seek that government policy on the movement of goods from road to rail occurs at a faster pace than what has been occurring, as it makes economic sense to spend less on the road maintenance and utilize the rail for the movement of goods. In conclusion, friends, compatriots, the government of national unity under current fiscal conditions seeks impactful and quality spending, which gives the most value for money and ensure that transport infrastructure is developed and public transport system improves the quality of the lives of our people. In other words, we seek a better life for all. This is critical in ensuring that implementation of economic recovery and development plan is on the way. Therefore, corruption has no place in the delivery of an efficient transport system in the country, as it is a key driver of our economy. Let all hands be on deck to ensure that the objects articulated in these budget votes are met in the best interest of our people, in whose name we gather here today. These are our people in Pongola, in KwaZulu-Natal, and in the rural villages of Mahari and Linkotia in Limpopo, whose greatest yearn for service delivery lies squarely in our hands, and particular you, Honorable Minister, and your team. The ANC supports this budget vote 40 of Department of Transport. I salute you, and indeed, let the sun never set. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I will now call upon DA, Honorable Hansinger.
Honorable House Chair, Transport Budget 2024-25 is characterized by a multitude of service delivery gaps, ineffective key performance indicators, and irrelevant conversions to target setting. A condition consequence after having had 6 transport ministers in just 7 years, most of which also tucked in their own DGs in and out. In South Africa, transport regulation and coordination are done by people and for people. Finding each other remains a challenge, and this budget, like all the others before it, either finds favor with its users or it does not. There cannot be justifications or excuses, especially if the same political leadership represents each budget also today. On the positive side, it is most encouraging that irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure has been the lowest in the last 5 years, with no unauthorized expenditure documented in the previous fiscal year. The department has also maintained an average ratio of 38% between employee remuneration and total final appropriation during the last 5 years. As a recognized financial management gauge, this return on taxpayer investment indicator is at a critical juncture and should be moderated. A worrying negative trend in human resource management has evolved over the past 5 years, with an average difference of over 200 between the number of posts approved and the number of posts filled. In addition, the excessive turnover rate of unfunded positions seriously calls into doubt the long-term viability of this HR practice. The DA supports the President's decision to dissolve the Department of Public Enterprise by transferring the affected SOE entities to the Presidency. We assume this decision is a provisional diversion until the long overdue step of returning SAA and Transnet to Transport is taken. PRASA separated from Transnet in 2006, and since then, both SOE budgets have been burdened with a nonsensical system in which Transnet freight and PRASA passenger services cross-invoice and pay each other well over R1 billion every year. Ridiculous, because despite its fragmentation, everything belongs to the same state. Why should two state-owned entities pay each other more than R1 billion annually? Rail should be unified under one body, management and shared goal, which should be to provide a dependable, safe and clean service for individuals and goods. The steps and processes followed under Program 4 Roads to support undercapacitated provinces and road maintenance backlogs are positive and advancements are duly recognized, but the proper thing to do would be to conduct a full assessment and reclassification of all roads. Prioritize the above average frequency, highways and streets, but most importantly, fix the budget framework. And here's the thing, the combined 9 provinces look after 273,000 kilometers of road, while Sunral services 24,000 kilometers. Justifiably, until 2009, provinces enjoyed 75% of the budget. Today, in this budget, Sunral, who looks after only 8% of roads compared to provinces, enjoys the lion's share of the budget. This is just not fair. Although it is stated in Program 5 on aviation that enhanced alignment with international norms and protocols is desired, the South African Civil Aviation Authority persistently continues as a regulator and investigator. Crucial roles which fall well short of the international aviation requirements for separation of these critical functions. Given that this budget is subject to change with review meetings, a policy logotla and several cabinet sessions before finality in October this year, we remain hopeful about such improvement. To you leading in this endeavor, Minister GHC, we wish you well and accept herewith our best wishes. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I will now call upon MK, Honorable Kupega. Honorable members, there's a seat that will be provided for you here so that we maybe save time, where you can just move 2 minutes before another member ends and then you take that seat. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, noted. Greetings, colleagues. MK Party welcomes the opportunity to respond to the budget vote 40 of the National Department of Transport for fiscal year 2024-2025. We acknowledge the importance of transport in achieving a more inclusive, more prosperous and integrated South Africa. For the MK Party, transport is first and foremost about people and their connectivity to sustainable livelihoods. The MK Party sees transport as a major instrument to facilitate social and economic development. MK Party has a vision of a transport revolution aimed at the modernization of existing transport infrastructure and systems as part of the public investment in social and economic infrastructure. The multiplier effect on transport investment is fourfold, meaning that it has a huge impact on job creation, increased economy activity, improved connectivity, and enhanced productivity in the economy. The MK Party will champion the extension of transport networks, in particular rail, to which new urban settlements and neglected rural areas in our country. It is also critical to improve the rural dirt road networks so that there can be improvement in the time it takes to transport people and goods on rural roads to ensure the steady urbanization, takes place in rural areas and on tribal land. Transport is also critical to the developing technical skills among young people. The starting point of MK in this debate is about the role transport has played in South Africa's historical development. Our analysis says South Africa and Africa's transport systems were designed to serve primarily colonialism and capitalism, not the interests of Africa and her people. Investment in transport and infrastructure became an instrument to serve Western colonial interests, and in the case of South Africa, a specific form of capitalism which developed under a colonial context. We still see today major railways and road networks in the country and in the continent, leading mainly to ports to facilitate the export of key minerals in their unbeneficiated state. In the case of South Africa, successive white governments had further used transport as a key instrument of apartheid policy, influx in social control, and spatial segregation. In many parts of our country, roads divide the rich from the middle-class households, rail lines divide colored and Indian communities, and Black workers are subjected to extreme exploitation and racism. MK Party has noted the recent comments by our new Transport Minister, Honorable Barbara Creasy, on her priorities in this department. Speaking on the sidelines of the South African Transport Conference, hosted by CSIR in early July, Minister, you outlined some of your policy priorities, which you indicated was fixing Transnet and PRASA. We want to state, Minister, that you have to look at the South African taxi industry as well, especially the extortionate interest rates that are charged by the South African banks through the South African Taxi Finance Company to our taxi owners. Honorable Minister, you stated you will continue to facilitate the work of the National Logistics Crisis Committee established by the President. In our view, the NLCC is a useless parallel structure whose composition is full of individuals who are not only compromised and conflicted, but also do not have any logistics operations experience. These people have been exposed and are privy to the tariffing, pricing, and sensitive information of Transnet. They sit in meetings of Transnet and yet are not accountable for any outputs. This parallel management structure called the NLCC comprises some, but not all customers of Transnet. For instance, former TFR executives, university lecturers with no logistics or knowledge except magisterial cargo origin and destination flows that are chaired by retired Exaro executives. Some work as consultants in the NLCC, but also advise the private sector on how to participate in PSPs with Transnet. How? This is a clear conflict as they have a vested interest to ensure that Transnet fails, and then they can work with their customers to participate in PSPs. We must make it clear that MK Party does not believe that Transnet management must be distracted and burdened by an unaccountable and inequitable parallel structure such as the NLCC. We believe the NLCC was appointed by President Ramaphosa as part of the destruction of Transnet to benefit private interests in his usual committee to appease people and pretend something is being done modus operandi. Your comments, Minister, have revealed that the true intentions and mandate given to you in the transport portfolio is to hive off strategic national assets to the private sector. In a nutshell, we are concerned, Honorable Minister, by the agenda you will pursue in this sector. We also believe that some of the strategies that are being pursued in the ports and railway sector by the sixth administration of vertically separating network businesses such as Transnet will have an unintended consequence of bequeathing our country with a much more expensive transport system rather than a cost-effective one. We are not unwise to what has happened in the United Kingdom when the philosophy of vertical separation was introduced in the 90s, and it is now being reversed en masse because it just does not work in network industries. MK Party believes that Transnet should be allowed to grow significantly in order to reduce the cost of doing business. Before telling us about your priorities, Honorable Minister, perhaps it would be prudent and in the interest of our thriving, vibrant democracy to first tell the people of South Africa as to why and how Transnet and PRASA, two important transport entities in our country, find themselves in the terrible position they're in. Let's start with Transnet. Transnet under Brian Molefe and Siyabonga Kama made profits of up to 5 billion rand per annum after paying all of their borrowing costs. This was a business that was running effective operations and had introduced investment programs known as the market demand strategy and had introduced efficiency measures and was meeting most of their customer needs. Transnet boasted a strong balance sheet and positive cash flow positions. Transnet borrowed money from the capital markets and the strength of their balance sheet and cash position. In just 3 short years, from 2021 till now, Transnet has transformed into a critical failure, and now in 2023 finds itself in a bail zone, requiring and depending on financial guarantees from Treasury, from its borrowing and begging for allocations from the national fiscus. It is a matter of record, Minister, that South Africa is today in a deep economic crisis, largely due to the declining rail and port performance, with freight volumes dropping significantly from 2018 to date. It is a matter of record, Minister, that Transnet transported 227 million tons in 2018, just before the 6th administration took place, or they came into office. The volumes transported by Transnet have since decreased from 227 million tons per year in 2018 to a mere 149 million tons in 2023. This is a 35% decrease over a period of 5 years under the Popo Molefe board that was appointed by Minister Pravin Gordhan in 2018. 2018-2019 Transnet corporate plan indicates that they had been projected that Transnet would handle around 264 million tons by 2023, and not just a mere 149 million tons.
Katide,
Mama?
unfortunately, your time has exhausted.
Honorable Sengwa, just a quick one to you. Sijamani, Nongubo, nithuleleni labantu bedlala ngathi bethatha izwe lethu belidayisa.
Siphelile isikhathi baba. Thank you, Honorable Member. The Honorable EFF, Honorable Noluchungu.
Thank you, Chair. The EFF wishes to send their condolences to the families of the 11 pupils killed in an accident involving private scholar transport in West Rand, Gauteng this past week. Chairperson, the EFF believes that the different transport modes and systems like road, rail, air, and sea play a significant role in connecting places, ensuring the efficient movement of people, goods, and economic activities. Hence, the provision of an efficient, affordable, safe, and easily accessible public transport is critical for the development of South African economy and the integration of the region and the continent. But the reality is that the South African public transport system is unsafe and inaccessible to a greater extent in rural areas. It is expensive and even more so for people living with disabilities. The minibus taxis with their limitations are the most accessible, although not for people with disabilities, the most common and flexible mode of transport. But they are also expensive and unsafe for commuters who are constantly exposed to the volatile violence caused by fights over routes and other issues. The reality is that those most affected by violence and infighting between associations in Alexandra, Umtata, between Border and Ncedo Association, Umhlabula Lingana, and other parts of the country are workers with no alternative form of transport. The associations in Tembisa and Kempton Park and many parts of the country harass motorists and illegally hijack them under the false pretense of enforcing laws that they do not have. If it is not violence, it is roadworthy minibus taxis. The government recapitalization program has completely failed. In 2020, the EFF proposed that the taxi recapitalization program be scrapped and that concerted efforts, including funds, be redirected to the formalization of the industry. Instead, the government continues with its inefficiency and subsidizes a mode that caters for only 20% of public transport users and neglects the one that serves 80% of the labor workforce, which is the backbone of our country's economy. The 2024-2025 annual performance plan and the proposed budget presented to the committee by the Department of Transport does not make any provision for the subsidization of minibus taxis. Yet the then Minister Fikile Mbalula had set the implementation date of the taxi subsidy as the 1st of April 2021. The annual performance plan is notably silent on the universal access, particularly for people living with disabilities. Despite the commitment made in 2021 APP to urgently address the issue of access to transport for special needs passengers. The Department of Transport, in collaboration with the Department of Education, has persistently failed to prioritize scholar transport to ensure not only the safety of young learners and pupils, but also that they regularly attend school on time and in a conducive manner. Earlier this year, thousands of pupils were left stranded due to a failure to provide transport. And to this day, many children still have to walk long distances to get to school, exposing them to violent criminals. Many still have to cross dangerous overflowing rivers to get to school. A decrease in funding and a lack of investment in public scholar transport increased the emergence of illegal private scholar transport, which overloads vehicles and disregards the safety of our learners by driving unroadworthy vehicles. Speaker, over 60 million people live in South Africa, with more than 3.3 million individuals identified as living with disabilities of being differently abled. 30 years since the dawn of democracy, we believe it is unacceptable and alarming that persons with disabilities are still discriminated against and have barriers to accessing basic living activities. One of the key barriers and perpetuations of exclusion, which the government is implicit in, is the inaccessibility of transport for people with disabilities. This is the most concerning because the inability to access transport causes a ripple effect, as it means one is further excluded from healthcare, education, employment, etc. While South Africa has a legislation such as the Promotion of Equality and Prevention of Unfair Discrimination Act and the White Paper on the Provision of Integrated Public Transport of 2007, the willingness in enforcement and implementation of these laws to ensure accessibility for persons with disabilities is inadequate. The transport infrastructure itself often does not meet the minimum needs of persons with disabilities in the form of uneven pavements, poorly marked crosswalks, and a lack of tactile paving, which makes it difficult for those with visual impairments to navigate safely. The My City Dial ride in Cape Town only caters for 350 passengers, yet the service is oversubscribed.
Honorable Noluchungu. Isikhathi sesiphelile, ma'am.
The economic freedom fighters therefore correctly rejects the budgets that still fail to address the inequalities that have existed for more than 30 years and continues to ignore
Mama.
and neglect the immediate fundamental problems of our
Isikhathi
country.
siphelile.
Thank you.
IFP, Honorable Stole.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister, and Honorable Deputy Minister. As the IFP, we are trying to have one of our own as part of department. Over these years, we have always aimed to assist the department by proposing various practical solutions to the challenge faced by the transport sectors. We know that Honorable Deputy Minister Mashasha will continue being the voice of reason and pragmatism in the search to solve the various problems inherited from the previous administration and place the department on a new tragedy. The economy of our country needs all government departments to make a concerted effort to possibly contributed to its growth. In relation to Department of Transport, it is widely known that South Africa has the potential to become the gateway to African market, as we have a well-developed network of ports and a robust logistic infrastructure. However, poor rain performance has rendered the country unable to fully participate in recent commodity boom. While we fully understand the need for public sector's investment to raise the focus on road infrastructure, especially as it pertains to the safety of our people, we want to urge this administration to capitalize on the opportunity at hand by leveraging public and private investment tools to finance construction and operation of freight infrastructure. Transnet, including its freight lanes, continue to struggle to transport goods to their market timelessly, which in turn heavily impact on mining, manufacturing, and agriculture sectors. As the IFP, we want to urge the government to move faster in its attempt to help Transnet turn things around by comprehensively utilize the freight logistic roadmap. The previous Parliamentary Portfolio Committee called for its department to provide a comprehensive nationally, provincially, and municipality account of all road maintenance and expenditure. They must also submit a 3-month forecast on all road maintenance to be completed. We think it would be wise for the department to extend this to the country railway as well, especially considering the immense contribution it could make to the economy. A further challenge this department needs to address is the overall safety of our roads. We have previously raised our concern regarding the time frame for the completion of Motor Road, which stretch over 160 kilometers, span 3 provinces, Gauteng, Mpumalanga, and Limpopo, and has more than 1,000 vehicles traveling on its during its peak hours. However, areas also suffering due to the maintenance, the potholes in Mpumalanga, Northwest, Free State, Gauteng, and KwaZulu-Natal create severe obstacles to the development of our economy, causing huge damage and inflict injuries on our road users. We also have ammonious sinkholes, which also pose a danger to well-being of our road users, especially on the R71 Free State to Okahlamba. Honorable Chairperson, it is our hope that under this new administration, our road will be safer and our railway will finally be able to contribute to economy. Ngicabanga ukuthi umhlonishwa uminister njengoba uyayazi unemlando ukuthi iGauteng bebeyisebenza kanjani. Honorable Mashasha, isikhathi ke manje sokuthi bahlanganise leyo mqondo nolwazi ukuthi benze umgwaqo wethu iphile. Ngiyathokoza.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Freedom Fund Plus, Honorable Van Staden.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, with a budget allocation of 80.6 billion, we as a government of national unity will urgently have to come up with a plan to turn this Department of Transport around as it's facing problems. The department policies will have to be revised and, if necessary, adjustments will have to be made or even scrapped and replaced with new workable policies. Probleme kan slegs aangespreek word indien die onderskeie provinsies en munisipaliteite verantwoordelik gehou word en hulle sal gereeld vir die portefeulje komitee moet verskyn om verslag te kom lewer. Die portefeulje komitee sal ook gereeld oorsigbesoeke in die provinsies en munisipaliteite moet gaan doen om toe te sien dat werksaamhede in hierdie sektor voldoende gelewer word. Persone sal in hierdie departement aangestel moet word op grond van meriete en wat oor die nodige kwalifikasies beskik. South Africa's economic infrastructure must be drastically improved to achieve economic growth. This must include our railways, our roads, our passenger transport, freight and logistics, ports and airports. The FF Plus feels strongly that all state-owned enterprises should be privatized to stop all financial lifelines to failed entities. But out accident funds should be done and away with. Instead, every motor vehicle owner should be compelled by legislation to take out third-party insurance. Other tariffs and levies should be adjusted downwards to stimulate consumer expenditure and boost the economy. Die tekort aan sigbare dokumentasie vir die uitreik van voertuigregistrasiedokumente en lisensieskyfies is nie 'n nuwe probleem nie en die departement en die staatsdrukkery sal indringend hierdie probleem met aanspreek en oplos. Lisensiekantore kan nie funksioneer as die nodige skryfbehoeftes en ander middele nie aan hulle verskaf word nie. Die opeenhoping van verwerkte dokumentasie by lisensiekantore sal ook 'n aandag moet geniet. By die agterstand met die uitreiking van bestuurderslisensies betref, sal dit ook vinnig opgelos moet word en die departement sal daadwerklik moet optree om hierdie probleem hok te slaan. Die geldigheid van bestuurderslisensies moet aangepas word om onnodige druk elke 5 jaar op die stelsel te verlig en die aanpassing vanaf 5 na 8 of selfs 10 jaar kan die probleem dalk help oplos. Nie net sal dit inpas by internasionale standaarde nie, maar dit kan motoriste ook bevoordeel. Padwaardigheidstoetse van voertuie bly maar problematies te wees as daar daagliks in die media gelees word van bus- en taxi-ongelukke wat plaasgevind het waar mense en kinders al lewens verloor het. Hierdie ongelukke is onaanvaarbaar en daar sal 'n dringend ondersoek ingestel moet word na die oorsake hiervan, beginnende by die uitreik van padwaardigheidssertifikate en die lisensiering van voertuie om 'n geldige voertuig van die pad te hou. Die fout moet nie net by die bestuurders van voertuie gesoek word nie, maar verskeie aspekte binne die departement self moet ook ondersoek word. Roadworthy testing centers under private, provincial and municipal control must be regularly inspected by competent and trained inspectors to ensure that certificates are not issued for vehicles that have not been properly tested or that have not even been at the testing centers. Additionally, stricter measures must be implemented to punish offenders. Action must be taken against state institutions, state departments, private companies and the taxi industry that are in contempt of the National Road Traffic Act. The department must ensure that everyone who uses our country's roads are subject to the law and the law is justly enforced. Ek sluit af. Skuld moet geskraap word en die publiek kan nie daarvoor verantwoordelik gehou word nie. Die publiek kan nie verantwoordelik gehou word vir 'n stelsel wat destyds op onwettig afgedwing was nie en waarvan die toerusting nie behoorlik gelisensieer was nie. Let's restore and build. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Member. ActionSA, Honorable Kobe.
Order.
Oh,
I just want to find out why there is no other interpretation in other languages. Why are we subjected to 2 languages, which is Afrikaans and English?
thank you, Honorable Member, for raising that. We'll look at it and check why they did not provide for the other languages. We'll just have to check on that. I thought maybe when you go to other channels, you'll be able to find the interpreter. Yes, Honorable Member.
Yeah, I don't know when is this going to end? Honorable Chairperson, this is unbecoming. Last week, we were exposed to the same issue of languages. Indeed, asikho kugano, but we have to be respected, please. Our languages are more important as well, like any other language. This excuses that they will look at it. We are here. We are here. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I hear you. I think you were raising the same point that Honorable Mkalip was raising, and we will definitely have to look at that and come back to you. I think that will be my last ruling on this one, and I would not like to take further more hands on this issue unless it is a different one. Honorable Member at the back.
No, thanks, Chairperson. It's not a question, it's a suggestion. Can I suggest, Chairperson, that we pause until that matter is actually sorted, then we proceed.
Seconded. Seconded.
Yes, Honorable Member.
No, angibonge wesihlalo ngaphambili. No, nambe ngizothi uma usihlalo ethi le matter uyayinotha uzobuye edile nayo kusho ukuthi abantu abangawezwa lama languages beqhubeke nje bengezwe ukuthi umpoti yani nize and decide ukuthi ngelinye ilanga niyobuya kule matter. Nambe ngiseconda iproposal ethi ake sithi kuma ke nilungise le matter bese sibuya ke. Siyabonga.
From the EFF,
Evidence that this matter was raised last week. What even compound this matter is that it's a coincidence of where Afrikaans and English are imposed on us in the same way that it was imposed on South Africa in 1926 by a guy called JPM Herzog when he formed the government of national union, a coalition which excluded black people then. It can't be a coincidence that Afrikaans and English are imposed on us. So I agree with other members who propose for an adjournment until this matter is addressed.
thank you, honorable members. I think we all know that there are 3 simultaneous sittings currently that are taking place, and there is no enough staff that will be provided for such. So I have made a ruling on this one. We cannot adjourn because even if we would want to adjourn, which means we would adjourn and then come back when? Because there's another sitting at 2, there's another sitting at 4. So there's no way that we are going to adjourn, and I've made a ruling on it. And
but
we
Chair-
are continuing with
Sihlalo,
the
asikho emzini
sitting.
wakho, asikho emzini wakho Sihlalo.
Honorable
You must take
member,
us serious, Sihlalo.
Honorable member.
Sibeka a complaint on your table. Deal with it. Don't be biased about it. Just because you can speak English and your friends of the GN can speak English and Afrikaans. Take us serious, Sihlalo. Asikho emzini wakho la.
honorable member.
But Chair, can I rise on order?
Honorable member, Rule 79 provides that a member is able to raise a point of order or a point of privilege, but only when that member has been given a chance by the presiding officer. I've never pointed at you and said you must speak. I gave you an opportunity. I gave all of you an opportunity to speak. And I am telling you that there is a challenge that we have 3 simultaneous sittings now that are taking place. And not because of I am a GNU or what, I'm not a GNU, I'm a house chairperson. And I've made a ruling on that matter to say, since there is not enough staff, there is nothing that we can do currently, but we'll look at it for future references so that we're able to provide all these other channels. I'm not going to take further more hands on this one. We are moving with.
It's a different issue, Chair.
No, I did not point at you, honorable member. There was no need for you to speak. Please close your mic. I am not going to allow it that you just open your mic and speak. I've just referenced you to Rule 73 now, that you do have an opportunity to raise a point of order. And if I do give you that opportunity as a presiding officer, you preside so. But if I have not given you that opportunity, you can't just press a mic and speak. As much as you were saying, this is nobody's house, this is the National Assembly house, and can we treat it with the decorum that it deserves? It can't be that you speak as willy-nilly as you want. It's uncalled for and it's unparliamentary to do so. So can I please plead with you? I'm pleading with you, all of you honorable members. I know that we have this challenge, and unfortunately, maybe this is my first time presiding in this house. I did not know that there were no other languages that were provided, and maybe there is a short staff. Can we please move on from this subject, and we will then look at it later and come back, please? Unless it is a different issue, then I will take it. But if we are still coming back with the same issue, I've ruled on it and we are not going to go back on that. Thank you. Different issues, honorable members. I have not pointed at you. Please close your mic.
Can I assist you?
Honorable lady from the EFF and followed by Honorable Silamulela. I saw your hand up. Okay, thank you.
Mandibonge kakhulu Sihlalo. Ingxaki yami ngifuna ukwazi uba intoni le engxanyelwe kangaka because ezinye mazingahlalanga zingahlala ngolunye usuku. Into le engxanyelwe kangaka ngezi budget. Ndibuza nje umbuzo Chair. Enkosi.
Honorable Chair, thanks very much.
Yet, please. He said we must not talk before he said.
You are not the chair.
He said so now.
You are going to have to respect us, ne? Because we can't be held there hands on by yourself, ne? No, but you are going to
Honorable
respect
member
us.
from the MK.
This must apply to everybody. You did not point at it.
No, I did.
It will come.
You
Uh-uh.
don't even know my name.
Honorable member, I pointed two members. I said honorable member from the EFF at the back, and I said followed by honorable Silamulela, unless you did not hear that.
You can go ahead, it's fine.
No, 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 no.
We must
I am
start,
not
Chair.
going to, no, please wait. I am not going to allow that. We are not going to do that. And I'm going to request ICT to close your mic, because what you are doing, it's incorrect. And I cannot raise the same thing time and time again to a one honorable member about the same issue. I told you, I will point at you, I saw your two hands, but I pointed at the lady from the EFF and I pointed at Honorable Silamlel. I was coming to you, but now what you are doing is incorrect.
I think that will be my starting point, Chair. We must condemn this as far as can be possible. One, we can't be held at ransom in this house. Two, if you think you are powerful, Chief, or anyone else.
On which role?
here.
We are raising on which role? We are raising on which
Now,
role?
Chair,
We are not a chairperson
Chair.
down. Sit down, say. Shala phansi
can
tata.
I proceed, Chair? Chair,
It's possible.
I'm saying you have ruled on the matter, and let's not allow ourselves to be kept at ransom. We have a duty to proceed with the business of this house, and
But the chair is
and
ruled.
colleagues are
Doesn't want-
allowed.
No, honorable member from the EFF.
No, it's going to be.
No, what are you doing now? I'm not going to do this again. I'm going to ask ICT to switch off your mics. Because what you are doing is incorrect, honestly.
Chair, thanks very much. Thanks very much for being firm. I'm saying we have a duty, we are duty bound to proceed with the business. And in the midst of the challenges that is there, anyone can use his own language because that's the understanding we have. Thanks very much.
Honorable members, I am not going to take any further more hands with regards to this issue. We are continuing now. I am going to call ActionSA, Honorable Kobe.
There we go. Thank you for the opportunity, Madam Chairperson, Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, and all honorable ministers in the House. Now more than ever, global trends are showing that people are moving and connecting at unprecedented rates. Now, for whatever reason that they are moving, one cannot discount the impact that this has on our economy. It must therefore not be lost on you, Honorable Minister, that the lifeblood of our economy is squarely in your hands. Ours from ActionSA is a simple ask. Revive our railway network, PRASA and Transnet specifically, remove heavy trucks on our roads, and lastly, put safety of women and children back at the top of the agenda. Now, rail services are the backbone of modern transport networks, and our rail infrastructure has imploded under PRASA and Transnet's watch. The systematic destruction of these entities and our railway networks across the country has decimated jobs at every railway siding and small town and has increased financial pressure on South African households who must now spend on other means of public transport. One would have hoped that more than 30 years into the democratic dispensation, South Africa's dreams of efficient, affordable, and integrated transportation will be realized. Sadly, these dreams remain deferred, and this is largely due to poor performance, inadequate maintenance, and infrastructure damage. We can't continue to allow existing infrastructure to be destroyed. Honorable Minister, in the not so distant past, the bulk goods were transported on rail networks, but with the failing railing system, companies must now rely on using public road transport to transport their goods. This has led to the increased tracking on our system, increased tracking on our roads, which you have seen has had devastating consequences on our roads. You need to devise a plan to remove all heavy trucks on our roads before more lives are lost. It is high time that this government focuses on reviving the railway transport system, which was once an important element in this country's transportation system. Before I end, Honorable Minister, I plead with you to put the safety of women and children back at the center of your agenda, particularly the safety of women and children. And I say this in particular reference to the proliferation of e-hailing systems and services. We call those the Ubers and Bolts, which are fast becoming a popular mode of transportation, and it is projected to grow even further to serve a user base of 14 million people by 2028. Honorable Minister, every other day we wake up to horrific stories of women who are abused and who suffer at the hands of e-hailing drivers. It is gravely concerning that with the safety concerns that continue to be flagged, there seems to be no real plan to regulate this industry. Without regulation, they continue to operate in the shadows, operating with impunity. Madam Chairperson, I'd like us to take a moment to remember those we lost on our roads. Most recently, the 12 Carltonville learners and driver who died on Wednesday in a fatal road accident. Honorable members, if we do not pass the budget and fast track these solutions, we in the 7th administration will be complicit in the further loss of lives on our roads. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kobe. I will now call upon the Honorable Deputy Minister of Transport to give a speech, and it is his maiden speech.
Maiden is a member of the executive, Madam Chair. Honorable House Chairperson, at the outset, let me congratulate you on your election as the House Chairperson and wish you well in the execution of your duties and responsibilities. Honorable Minister Creasy, the DG, Honorable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee and members of the Portfolio Committee and honorable members of this House. As the Department of Transport, the budget that we are presenting in this financial year, or what is left of it, will go a long way towards contributing to the resolution of some of the persistent challenges facing our transport sector. I'll be focusing on two main areas today, which is road safety and the Road Accident Fund. Given the role of the transport sector as an enabler of economic growth, development, it is indeed an important aspect of our socio-economic agenda, and particularly the GNU will continue to commit itself to its continuous improvement. We thus have a task which is well cut out for all of us with these lingering challenges facing many South Africans, and in tandem with this commitment, will equally strengthen commitment to safety across the transport sector and thus across all modes of transport. And our budget will continue to give road safety added attention to the dire state of road safety. The recent death of the 11 children and taxi driver is a serious indictment on all of us. On behalf of Minister Creasy and myself, I convey our sincerest condolences to the bereaved families. Road safety remains particularly important given the statistics of crashes and fatalities still defining our road transport network, with a daily average of 34 people being killed and 157 seriously maimed, and also given our own commitment as a country to the United Nations Decade of Action road safety target to reduce fatalities by 50% in 2030, with 2010 being the baseline. Some progress has, however, been made in the past 10 years, because from around 2014, the daily average was approximately 40 deaths and 184 serious injuries. In the past 3 years, road fatalities have come down from 12,554 to 11,883 in 2023. This is attributed to the visibility of traffic officers. Honorable colleagues, irresponsible driver behavior has been noted as a major contributor to road crashes, with distracted driving, drunken driving, overspeeding, and non-compliance with the rules of the road playing a major role. Also, this texting and driving, particularly WhatsApp chats, is fundamentally a problem. Research has proven that changing road user behavior is central to making our roads safer. In fact, statistics have indicated that up to 87% of all our road fatalities in the country can be attributed to road user behavior, compelling us towards a program of behavior change across the road sector. Given the populous and expanding urban settlements, we will commit ourselves to fighting pedestrian deaths, which are the highest segment of victims in the country. Approximately 10% of registered vehicles in South Africa are not roadworthy, and the average age of these vehicles is 11 years, which also contribute to the increased potential of road crashes and fatalities. Furthermore, it is estimated that around 40% of vehicles on our roads are not insured. South Africa generally has good road infrastructure, underlined generally. We understand the challenges which are there, particularly around potholes and the impact it has on road safety and driving, and therefore it being a factor in road accidents. However, the country continues to invest and identify key road infrastructure maintenance and improvements which are required. The increase in population figures and economic movements have, however, resulted in depleted capacity and inadequately maintained road infrastructure. The key question of fraud and corruption continues to linger, with driver license testing centers, vehicle testing centers, registration authorities, and law enforcement authorities all being vulnerable to fraud and corruption by both officials and members of the public. The cool drink phenomenon, colleagues, is corruption, and we are urging members of the public to acknowledge this as such and the risk which it poses to road safety. These factors, amongst others, contribute significantly to the saddening numbers of deaths. The department, in its commitment to fight fraud and corruption in this sector, it's commendable that testing centers have introduced digital testing for learner licenses. More importantly, the continued search for corrupt officials and the arrest of the 97 suspects in this financial year by the National Traffic Anti-Corruption Unit attest to the commitment to root out this phenomenon. The arrests, colleagues, were made in areas such as Falkville, Orlando, Boystons, Meyerton, Roodepoort, just to name but a few, including Newcastle and Glencoe in KwaZulu-Natal. In addition, the RTMC's stated actions taken against fraud and corruption, the solutions have also included the following changes and milestones, amongst others. To professionalize the traffic law enforcement, the RTMC has been able to revise the current qualification equivalent to a matric, bringing it to a diploma level to create high caliber of officers and recruits trained for effective professional policing. Overall, towards the reduction of road deaths has been guided by the National Road Safety Strategy 2016-2030, which continues to be a priority. Honorable House Chairperson, let me hasten to move to the issue of the Road Accident Fund, which we also encourage the RTMC and other agencies to work with the Arrive Alive campaign to step up efforts of road safety throughout the year and not just during the seasonal campaigns. Honorable members, while we commit to prevent crashes and losses of life and limb, we also commit to ensuring effective and responsive post-crash assistance to those affected, and those services that are carried out by the Road Accident Fund. The Road Accident Fund has been implementing a turnaround strategy 2020-25 for the last 4 years and has developed to address the RAF's major challenges, which include increasing liability, long-term settlement turnaround times for claims, unsustainable funding model, the governance and leadership instability, manual and litigious operating model, non-compliant claims lodge, fraud and corruption. The strategy is focused on reducing administrative costs, introducing efficiencies, addressing the manual and litigious model management, and reduction of the fund's liability, digital transformation, prioritizing claimants' compensation, managing claims risk, and reducing the backlog and expanding the claims, expediting claims. The strategy's interventions have resulted in the cumulative reduction of legal costs by 75% and a legal cost saving of just over 23 billion rands in the 3 years. Honorable members, as you are aware, in both my past and recent experiences in this House, particularly as chairperson of SCOPA, we have grappled with addressing accounting standards related to the Road Accident Fund. There has been ongoing dialogue, rather protracted by the way, between the agency, the Auditor General, and Parliament, and even in courts. It is our position that as the department, that the Road Accident Fund Board must promptly find a resolution to this matter and not let it be an instruction of this House or other government institutions. They must move with the necessary speed to deal with this challenge. The necessary challenges required at REF must be achieved through legislative reforms and not through arbitrary changes in the accounting system. The REF has gone for 3 consecutive financial years without any fuel levy increases, and we emphasize that this is unprecedented. That being so, the fund has always been granted fuel levies over the years, but things do need to change at that entity. Honorable Chairperson, my mother, who was a nurse, used to say that prevention is better than cure. In this regard, the long-term viability and sustainability of the REF is dependent, amongst others, on the reduction of road accidents. The pressures on the REF will be relieved by also a concerted effort to deal with the high levels of drinking and driving, drinking and jaywalking, roadblock corruption, driver license corruption, vehicle roadworthiness corruption, and due compliance with road and traffic regulations. The impact of alcohol abuse on the transport ecosystem is of an adverse and detrimental effect to the economy. The strain and opportunity cost of the road carnage is of serious negative consequence on the economy through the loss of time and productivity with regards to the movement of commuters, goods, logistics, and services. In summary, what we are saying with this budget vote is that there is a need for road to rail, road to train commuting where possible and viable, which will be of assistance to reduce road accidents. In the long term, transport coherent and integrated transport-centric spatial planning must take center stage. I therefore join the Minister in a commitment to harnessing a healthy working relationship with the taxi industry. And in conclusion, Chairperson, the GNU and the Ministry will ensure transport sector cooperation to ensure we realize the mission and vision of ensuring a transport sector that continues to serve as a cornerstone of development, growth, progress, and prosperity for generations to come, and that the transport environment
Honorable Deputy
lives and
Minister.
does not take lives. I thank you.
Thank you. Let me call ACDP, Honorable Thring.
Thank you, Honorable House Chairperson. The ACDP offers its condolences to those families who lost their children and loved ones in the minibus accident in Gauteng. Our hearts and prayers go out to those families. The ACDP also notes that this budget for this department of some 80.6 billion is actually a decrease of 1.6% in real terms. Further, we note that this ministry has been in turmoil and decline for well over a decade, with 7 ministers in the last 15 years. Our transport infrastructure was relatively good, but now suffers from little to no maintenance, rising costs, and a lack of continued investment to boost capacity and meet increased demand. New Minister Creasy's Herculean task is not insurmountable, but she must acknowledge the failure of previous ANC leaders in this department to appreciate the importance of the transport sector in growing our economy. Currently, our economy is groaning under the strain of poor road maintenance, rail degradation, and bottlenecks at our ports, as witnessed at the Durban Harbour last year. The deterioration of our road and rail network has a negative impact on the safety and punctuality of our workforce and citizens, and also serves as a disincentive for foreign and domestic investment. The ACDP highlights the imperative of getting our workforce and goods back on rail and off the roads. This will not only relieve road congestion, but also minimize damage to our roads caused by the heavy trucks. The ACDP further recognizes that our ports play a critical role in the world's shipping routes, with nearly 15,000 ships entering our congested ports annually. However, these ports labor under capacity shortages, underinvestment, ancient IT systems, poor equipment maintenance, and gross corruption that is costing again our economy billions of rands. The solutions posited by the ACDP is the acknowledgement that these solutions lie in the digital world and a world of automation. Furthermore, we must leverage on technology for better traffic management, optimizing resources, reducing costs, improving efficiencies, implementing serious security, and removing race-based policies which serve
Honorable
as
Singh.
an antagonist to
Honorable
economic
Singh.
growth.
Can you please take your seat? There's a point of order. Honorable member.
Nkosi Sihlalo, angawuthatha umbuzo honorable ACDP.
Honorable Singh. The honorable member says, can you take a question?
I don't have the time, sir, so the answer is no. So furthermore, the ACDP says we must leverage on technology for better traffic management. We've got to implement serious security and remove race-based policies which serve as an antagonist to economic growth, as mentioned by the Harvard University's Growth Lab. Minister, this seventh parliament serves a seventh parliamentary term, may be the last lifeline between your department and our economy.
Honorable
Indeed,
Singh.
Minister, you have no time to lose
time is up.
and your department dare not fail. Thank you.
Thank you. UDM, there is no name that is stated. Is there anyone from UDM? Okay, going once, twice, on. Rise, Honorable Ghana.
Na khensa mtshama xitulu and khensa ku nyikiwa nkarhi lani ra ku xeweta holobye na xandla xa holobye vahlonipheki va huvo hi xewetile. So this morning I want to rise for South Africans. I want to rise for South Africans to have an affordable, reliable public transport system, and it has to be safe. I also want to rise for South African businesses to be able to move their goods on our roads, on our rail, using aeroplanes and also on the seas. Because we are not asking for much, Minister. South Africans are not asking for much. We're asking to be safe on our roads. We are losing too many people. Too many people, too many hours are lost. And I'm glad, Deputy Minister, you spoke about the issue of cold drinks. It's killing us. Cold drinks are killing us. Traffic officers are not doing what they are being paid to do.
Honorable Ghana, can you please take a seat behind you? I think there's a point of order. Yes, honorable member.
Unlike kumbela man. Kore mhlonipeki avula imutwa kahle. Unlike kumbela ntsena. Ingandla tano kuravula eskwatu ku ikote kumutwa kahle.
Okay, honorable member, we'll request that honorable Ghana maybe, but it's his privilege to do so.
Mari va kombela ni vulavula ni tshama xitulu. Ni ta vulavula, mara ni ta vulavula tindzimi hinkwato. Ni ta vulavula tindzimi. Loko ni vulavula hi Changana na swi twa swa ku matraka. But I want to say this. We need to ensure that the roads and the trucks on our roads are roadworthy. You know, in many places, the roads that are transporting people, we know they are not roadworthy. We know they are not roadworthy. Can we please, this budget, you know, it was said that you are the 7th minister in the last 8 years. 6. And I like the talk that you gave, including the deputy minister. But the question is, can you walk the talk? Can you actually do what you said you want to do? And you're being honest. And that's what South Africans want. They want you to be honest with the challenges that we face. We also want you to be honest with regard to the license card machine. For how long are we going to only have one machine that prints all licenses for every single driver in South Africa? Why can't we have the same system that works in Home Affairs? Because if I go to Home Affairs today, within 10 days, I get my passport. But for license, I have to wait for 8 weeks. It can't be. Can this budget address this issue? But the other thing that I want this budget to do is that it must not target only one kind of drivers. Whether you are an e-hailing driver, you're a private driver, you're a taxi driver, a truck driver, a bus driver, let's target everyone because the law must apply to everyone. Let's not target only one sector. Let's target everyone to ensure that we've got licensed drivers, we have roadworthy cars on our roads so that our people can travel safely. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Can say.
DA Honorable Mapena.
Ngiyathokoza Sihlalo. Let me give a warm welcome to the newly appointed Executive Authority, the Minister and the Deputy Minister. But for those of us who read the reports and who pay attention, in the APP, it says that PRASA has recovered 27 of the 40 targeted corridors. The Minister this morning says you've recovered 28 of the 40 targeted corridors. The chairperson of the Portfolio Committee says you've recovered 31 of the 40 targeted corridors. Which is which? So for those of us who read, you're going to frustrate us. So we're saying, please don't do that. Make sure that you give us proper information. In the inaugural Portfolio Committee meeting held this past Tuesday, the Minister and the Deputy Minister presented an APP described as that of the previous administration. The Minister rightly noted that there is an obvious disjuncture between the APP and what was happening on the ground. Minister Baba Chrissy felt just short of saying that the performance plan would never have translated to better service delivery and would not have delivered any tangible changes in the transport sector. We agree with her on that. Honorable Chairperson, the APP itself does not make for good reading. It contains nothing that we have not seen in the Portfolio Committee in the past 5 years. I would then rather offer the following 4 key interventions for the new executive. Number one, in the rail sector, please focus on the signaling infrastructure challenges. There is an urgent need to overhaul manual rail signaling in South Africa and ensure that this signaling is automated and digital. Secondly, accelerate the development of rail services to capable and competent local authorities. In some of the most successful democracies, rail infrastructure is managed and coordinated at local level. There's already a white paper to devolve rail to capable metros, accelerate and fast track this to cabinet as soon as yesterday. Number 3, establish a directorate within the department that will be responsible for the implementation of following the money program, especially for the provincial roads maintenance grant and the integrated public transport network, and those cities that are implementing agents. And lastly, and number 4, paying our bills. You must ensure that the department and every entity under its purview pay their service providers on time. And we must make sure that to scrutinize those that fail and hold them accountable to the people and make sure that they pay within the Treasury stipulated 30 days. Honorable Chairperson, I'm hoping these recommendations are taken in the same spirit that they advance, that of working together as members of a government of national unity and with the deep desire we all have to ensure the greater mobility of all our people, easier and safer transport across the country that is as cost-effective, as efficient, and as painless as possible. Transport remains a key economic driver for any self-respecting economy in the world. As such, as the Democratic Alliance, we want to commit that for the next in this term of office, we're going to support the department, but we're going to hold you accountable. And what I've noted earlier here, that 27 corridors that That's what the APP says. The minister says 28, the chairperson says 31. It's something that you must make sure that for those of us who pay attention, who read the reports, please don't frustrate us. We are here to make sure that we support you, but we want you to give us clear and concise information, especially for those of us who do read. Thank you very much. Siyathokoza.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Al-Jama. Al-Jama. There's no one from Al-Jama. NCC. NCC. There's no one. UAT. UAT. There's no one. We're moving to DA. Honorable Ramongalo. It's his maiden speech. Honorable members, it's Honorable Ramongalo's maiden speech. Can we please be kind? Honorable Ramongalo, please take your seat. There's a point of order even before you speak, Honorable Member.
No, Chair, Honorable Chair, I just wanted to say that Honorable Ghana misled us by saying she's the 6th transport minister. Is the 11th one. I just wanted to make that on record. 11 transport ministers since 1994. Thank you.
Okay, that's not a point of order, Honorable Member. Honorable Ramongalo, but I hope the minister is noted.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. I'd like to greet the Minister, the Deputy Minister, and all honorable members here today. Today, I stand before you as a new member of Parliament in the 7th administration, and it is a great privilege to be afforded the opportunity to address this august house on matters that are of grave importance to building the future of our country. I stand before you as a proud member of the Democratic Alliance because when I first arrived in Cape Town, I needed an ATM, and my first interaction or the first person I asked was like, the ATM, you will find it at the train station at the CBD. And me coming from Gauteng, the first thing I thought about was, would I be safe? But as soon as I walked into the station, the entire system was safe and functioning. There was coordination and a movement of people freely walking about without having to look over the shoulders.
Okay, Honorable Ramongala, please take yes.
Oh,
Thank you.
my apologies, Speaker. You can continue. Just notice it's a maiden speech.
Sorry?
I'm saying it's my apologies, Speaker. I didn't notice it was a maiden speech.
But I did say it's his maiden speech. Okay, thank you, Honorable Member. Continue.
Yeah. As soon as I walked into the station, the entire system was safe and functioning. There was coordination and a movement of people freely walking without having to look over their shoulders. There was an obvious presence of law enforcement. Juxtaposition this with Park Station in Gauteng. The picture is bleak and frightening. The Department of Transport has a responsibility to utilize its budget for the benefit of communities, to fix our crumbling infrastructure, restore the metro rail system, and end things like taxi violence. The transport industry is the heart and bloodline of any nation's economic achievement. It connects people to their work, their families, their education, their friends, and many other opportunities. But, Minister, for far too long, our transport network has continued to collapse, severely affecting our countless commuters. I am proudly from the Vaal in Gauteng, and I can tell you now that there is a Tshepo who was reliant on the railway system to get to work. But because in the Vaal, the railway system is completely shut down, it's not functional. Tshepo has to now use 2 to 3 taxis to get to work. Minister, that is affecting Tshepo's livelihood, who is a breadwinner at home and has to save money to take care of his family. It is unacceptable that our metro rail system, which was once a symbol of progress, has deteriorated to such low standards. We need to allocate enough fiscal resources to ensure the modernization of rail infrastructure. We must go beyond fixing tracks and stations and invest in new modern asset purchases, advanced signaling system, and top-notch security measures. We need to make it affordable, reliable, and safe so that millions of South Africans who rely on this mode of transport can travel with ease. Mr. Greasy, our communities deserve better than this. The dismal state of our roads and public transport system has become intolerable to the overwhelming majority of South Africans whose livelihoods depend on a functioning system. The DA remains at the forefront of advocating for a more
Honorable
functioning.
Ramungalo,
Okay.
your time is up.
Thank you. Just to close off, this department will be held accountable for every rent and every cent that is spent in the 7th administration. And the DA will ensure robust and effective oversight, making sure that the allocated funds are directed towards
Honorable Ramungalo.
projects that truly benefit the people of
Honorable
this country.
Ramungalo, we know it was your maiden speech, but don't abuse us. Now you are abusing us. ANC, Honorable Maduna, it's his maiden speech as well. Honorable members, I want to state that it is maiden speech as well. Can we be kind, please?
Thanks, Chair. House Chair, Minister, Deputy Minister, the DG, House members. Ngiyabulisa ngekhulu inhlonipho nokuyithoba. I think, Chair, you should allow me to start the debate by quoting the late former president of the ANC and the Republic of South Africa, Ubaba, the real Baba, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. When he said, "It is in your hands to make a better world for all who live in it." Chair, can I be protected?
Honorable members, I know that we can howl and all that, but let us not drown the speaker, please.
Thanks, Chair. As I was saying, thereof, it is important to start by highlighting the obvious facts that South Africa has a vast geographical spread, which from Southern Tip to Polokwane in the north is equivalent to the distance of flying from Istanbul in Turkey to London in England. And many countries in between you would pass in this process. Moreover, Chair, our country is far from markets in Europe and East. This means that the country is dependent on major modes of transport in terms of roads, rail, and aviation and marine for its economic activity. Thereof, the country has a sophisticated road and rail network, which is understandable, which links parts of South Africa. We all know, we would all know, it would be expected that from us, we would all know that the network of South Africa roads is estimated to be around 750,000 kilometers, the longest of any African country, and we are number 10 in the world in terms of the length. Chair, I think we must note that it is very disappointing that some opposition parties pretend as if they are unaware of this budget vote and the programs of this department. Yet the information has been publicly available for some time. This information has been available since February when the minister tabled the budget vote. Moreover, the APPs of this department with key performance areas are also publicly available and have been available for a long time, like I've suggested. To suggest, because now there's a suggestion that GNU is pushing the budget vote to pass, that would be, and it is very indigenous. If truth be told, there are some opposition parties who are not engaged in parliamentary matters, to collect votes to oppose the government of national unity of South Africa, rather than grasping the concrete issues which affect the plight of our people on the ground. As the programs of this department has not changed over the 5 years, and it seems that some do not want to assess the documentation and programs. Chair, I think we must appreciate that the Democratic Alliance appreciate the work that has been done by this department, continuously getting unqualified audits and the return of investment of our taxpayers' money. You see, Chair, there are things that we must correct. You see, Chair, if you go through the budget clearly states that there is a subsidy that will go towards the taxi industry. Thereof, to suggest that the taxi industry is not catered for in this budget would be indigenous and dishonest. Chair, the unbundling process, we all know it's done in the entities to ensure that there's optimal performance and efficiency, to ensure that the entities provide the services that they were established for. Chair, all I know as a young person of South Africa is that the individuals that would have been noted that they were making profits at Transnet, all I know as a young person is that they were given a well-oiled machine and that they were enablers of state capture and looting of the resources in these state entities. Chair, it appears like some parties are just a collection of the state capture crooks whom have been collected all over South Africa to come and represent it here in Parliament. Chair, allow me, I noted that the honorable member from EFF.
Point of order.
It's
Point
a
of
maiden
order.
speech, Chairperson.
Can you take
Can
a
I
seat?
enjoy my
Honorable
privilege?
Point of order.
Can you take your seat?
Yeah.
There's a point of order at the back. I'm not sure, honorable
Maiden
member. Oh,
speech, maiden speech,
Aye, no, Chairperson.
Sure.
Chairperson.
maiden speech, there can't be an
No, we're
interruption.
not going, when,
Ah, you
Chairperson, point
mustn't
of
provoke
order.
us.
The speaker referred to members of this house as a collection of thugs and crooks. Can you withdraw that? We're not interested of which member. We just want this to be withdrawn. No, when I when there's nothing like that.
thank you, honorable member. Honorable Matuna. Please stand, sir. You did state that there are members who are members of parliament and they are crooks, and even if you generalize, that is so unparliamentary. Can you please withdraw that?
I withdraw, Chair, even
Thank
though
you.
I said it seems.
No, honorable Matuna,
Withdraw,
can you
Chair.
just withdraw? I don't want even though, but, or however, no.
I withdraw, Honorable Chair. Thanks. Chair.
And can we not be controversial, please? Yes,
Thanks,
thank you. It's your maiden speech.
Can I continue? Oh, thanks, Chair. Chair, I want to borrow from the words of the great Comrade Joel when he says the beneficiaries of state capture will not go down without a fight. Chair, as I was saying, there is one great lighter that would say, do not just be simply good, but be good for something. Thanks. Chair, can I be protected? Chair, as I continue, Chair, this is no small budget vote. And the seven programs of the department are around 2% of the budget, which bulk being transferred to entities and provincial departments. And correctly so, I think as the budget, most of it is being transferred towards commute, rail, roads, and public entities. The collective transfers of about 95% of 80 billion, whilst about 23 million is being transferred to civil aviation and maritime transport. I think this is good as it's a move of the movement of moving goods from roads to rail is going to be achieved. The budget is critical towards the budget vote is critical as towards the end of the sixth parliament, a number of major transport infrastructure development programs were initiated in rail, roads and ports. These require to be completed as they already been started, as it was noted by the previous speaker of this parliament. Chair, you see, in this parliament, there are many parties that are known for boycotting budget votes. It's expected, as it has been a hallmark of the opposition of over the 5 years, such as the EFF. They don't play the ball, rather, they play the party or parties proposing the program and aim at improving the lives of our people. We continue to say, play the ball, not the player. The programs of the department, Chair, we know that they are aimed at transforming lives of our people, creating a better life for all. This means that the opposition parties are objectively opposed to transformation of our society, job creation through abstaining from approving this budget vote. Our appeal to the executive is that we need to stay focused and implement the programs through the efforts that the department, through their efforts and that of the department, including its entities. Please expect change. Please expect change and not abstention and boycotting of food. Chair, as I am about to land, we want to wish the new minister and the deputy minister well in executing their mandate of the sector in terms of the program of parliament. The level of performance in this expected in this financial year must continue to improve. The entities should also continue to improve its performance, ensuring that it has a continued improved internal control, the risk management processes and government processes as well. Chair, as I sit down, I would not be doing justice to young people of this country if I do not note the leaked affidavit of the former chair of VBS. That clearly shows how Rand Ant's leadership of Louis Vuitton's and
Chair, we're being abused here.
looted monies of the
we're being abused, Chair.
to finance their lifestyle of opulence. I feel sorry for their ice boys and
Honorable
outfits.
Matuna.
Sit down.
Please take your seat.
Sit down. Chair.
Honorable member, Honorable Kalipi, there's an honorable member of the EFF at the back.
No, you can
No,
proceed.
I know. I want to call you into order first.
Me, Chair.
Yes, you. You raised your hand, you open your mic and you speak. And I think I've raised this issue and I've addressed it in this house. But in Rule 79, you are not allowed to do so unless the speaker has given you permission to do that. I will give over to Honorable Mkalipi, but please, you are warned, don't do it again. Thank you. Honorable
But
Mkalipi.
Chair, I'm going to have a problem. The minister did the same thing. You never said anything to the minister while the member was speaking. But when it's the other members of this house, we are very strict. Can you be consistent? Please. But my point of order, Chair, even if this member is doing his maiden speech, he must not abuse this house, because we are going to be forced to respond to his abusive provocation to us. So can you warn him, Chair, because we are also listening when he's provoking us in this house. As much as we want to allow you to do your speech, please don't provoke us. And we can respond, Chief, please.
Okay, Honorable Mkalipi. Honorable Matuna, can you please finish your 32 seconds?
Thanks, Chair. Chair, as I was saying, that it's clear how the opulent lifestyle is financed. I feel sorry for the ice boys and ice girls whom are roaming around South Africa, carrying bags for these Gucci and Louis Vuitton revolutionaries. Chair, as I land, I also want to state that it is not surprising that this affidavit continue to pinpoint one Kandla
Honorable Matuna,
tribalist.
your time is up.
One Kandla
Hamba
tribalist.
wena,
That
hamba.
is always
Kingpin
kingpin of fraud and corruption.
Chair,
Honorable Mkhalipi,
can the GNU guys, can you also workshop your people?
Honorable Mkhalipi,
Yeah,
on
we
what
can't be
rule are you
subjected to
rising
this
on?
mediocre at this level
Honorable
here.
Mkhalipi,
This person was
what
supposed to be a
rule?
sweeping person, but he is subjecting us to a mediocre.
No,
of highest
Honorable
grade. Please,
Mkhalipi, you are out of order, please.
don't abuse us like this. We are going to respond to you.
I will now call upon, I will invite the Honorable Minister to close the debate. The Honorable Minister, when she opened the debate, she saved 3 minutes from the allocated time. In terms of practice, this time will now be added to the time allocated for a closing statement, which will now be 8 minutes. Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair, and allow me to thank all the honorable members for what I think has been a lively debate, which is always enjoyable. Let me make a couple of direct responses to some of the issues that have been raised. Honorable Mabena, we agree with you that the current APPs are at variance with the imperatives of the time, and these APPs will be reviewed at the departmental strat planning session that will take place following the cabinet lekgotla on the weekend. We also agree with you that it's a good idea to set up a dedicated unit to follow the money and make sure that provinces and municipalities spend on conditional grants so that all of you don't have to navigate appalling roads when you visit your constituency areas. Honorable Hansinger, with regard to the separation of the regulatory and investigative functions of the Civil Aviation Authority, I'm told that there are regulations that have been drafted. My job will be to get them out of the bottom drawer and into the public domain. Honorable Kobe, let me say to you that the National Land Transport Amendment Act specifically aims to regulate e-hailing, and once again, this has been signed into law and we will need to be implementing it. On the question of devolution, there is a draft devolution strategy in line with the National Rail Policy. I think there needs to be a lot of conversations about it in the next 6 months. We agree that metros and provinces have to have a say over transport planning. The question we have to look at is the affordability. And what we don't need in this country is 9 processes. And we will have to look at practicalities, affordabilities. I'm told that internationally, it's not normal to devolve railway practices unless a metro has about 20 million people, because it's more or less impossible for them to break even. So these are important issues that we're going to have to look into as time goes on. Colleagues, we all agree in this House that transport is an economic facilitator, it's a social service, it must be integrated, it must be safe, it must be cheap, and it must be on time. We also agree that rail must be the backbone of that system, whether it is for passengers or for freight. We agree that safety is a major issue, and there will be a dedicated focus on safety in this administration. And we agree that law enforcement must be equitable, it must be consistently applied, and if we want our roads to be safer, we must move away from a situation where we all practice road safety on the Easter weekend and during the Christmas period, and the rest of the time we kill each other on the roads. That is not an appropriate way to be dealing with road safety. We agree that taxis are an important part of the ecosystem, and we've got to look at how we decrease violence in this sector, how it's better regulated, and we are going to have to look at the financing and the economics of the taxi sector. Because we want it to be properly integrated into the ecosystem. And in my view, that's something that we've never quite managed to achieve. Now, Honorable Kubeka, one of the things we don't agree on is why the rail system, and particularly Transnet, is facing the problems that it's facing. We do agree that the high point in freight was, as you have said in your speech, when we were transporting 227 million tons in 2018. We also agree that it's absolutely unacceptable and paltry that today we are only transporting 149 million tons. But you see, the question we've got to look at is why was Transnet able to show such a wonderful profit on its balance sheet in 2018? It was because what they had been doing for many years is taking the money that was meant for maintenance and floating it as cash so that the balance sheet looked much better than in fact it was. And what was the consequence of that? The consequence of that was that rail maintenance was not done. So if you take the Kumba line today, that is a very old line. The rails have not been replaced. They are cracking. And as a consequence of this magical figure that you mentioned, 2,500 Kumba workers stand to lose their jobs. Now, I think when we are dealing with this system, we have to be honest. What caused this system? What kind of rabbits were pulled out of the hat? And what was the consequence of those rabbits being pulled out of the hat? Because it's not you and me that is facing those consequences, honorable members, it is the workers of Kumba. And those workers and other organized workers have said to me, right now, your priority is to get the freight to port. It is to stop retrenchments. It is to make sure that we create more jobs. And it is to make sure that none of us lose the jobs we already have because our families cannot starve. And what that means is that we're going to have to get other participants into the rail sector and into the port sector so that we can do proper maintenance, so that we can build new lines, so that we can save jobs, so that we can create jobs, and so that we can build this economy properly, which we all agree is what the transport system should all be about. Let me share with you a little story. And that little story relates to the fact that I'm the 11th Minister of Transport. When I was appointed MEC for Education in Gauteng in 2009, I had a meeting with all the senior managers. And they said to me in that meeting, we survived Mary Metcalf, we survived Ignatius Jacobs, we survived Angie Motsecha, and we'll survive you too. And I said to them, indeed, I will go. What you have to make sure is that you don't go first. So, this is the transport system. This department and its entities will need to shape up. And if they don't, we have ships. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Members are reminded that there's 3 debates that are scheduled simultaneously at 14 hours today. The basic education budget vote debate will be held in Good Hope Chamber here, while the planning, monitoring and evaluation budget vote debate will take place in the committee room M46. Additionally, the correctional service budget vote debate will be placed in the committee of S12A. That concludes the business of this mini plenary session. The mini plenary will now rise.